What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and in this video I want to be talking about the pros of business consulting. So these are things that I was researching and looking into before I made the switch from being a financial analyst to going into business consulting. And also, as I started working in consulting, I saw that these things were actually true. They weren't just things that I read on the internet when I was doing my research. So I wanted to share these things with you guys in this video. It's going to be 5 different things, and obviously there are things that I can't talk about, certain topics. And if you want to hear those, I'm going to put those on my Patreon page. So if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, the link is going to be in the description below. That is where I can, share more information that I just can't put on a public website like YouTube. All right, so going on to the first one, which is going to be networking, okay? So I'm not a person that goes to, networking events on the weekends or maybe at nights. I am just not the type of person. I'm more of an introvert and a little bit of an extrovert when I need to be, but I'm an introvert. So I'm not going to push myself to go to, a bunch of networking events and things like that. But when you go to a big four consulting, right, I'm going to start off with the work that you're actually doing. One of the first things is going to be the different engagements, right, or projects. They call them engagements, but they're essentially different projects. You're going to be working with different teams, right? So if you get assigned to a team for a certain project, that doesn't mean you're going to have the same team for the next project, right, or engagement. So this allows you to know these people because these projects can be from a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, or maybe a couple years. So these are people you're going to be working with for, some time. So you get to network with those people. And as you leave that project, you've added those people to your network, right? If it's a team of like 10 people, you are gonna, have, relationships with these people. And, as the project ends, it doesn't mean that the relationships end. You might have one person that you think is really smart, you can use as a resource later. So that's how kind of like how you network on like a work level. Now you can also join different organizations. This is something new that when you go to a big four consulting firm, these firms are global firms, right? So there's different organizations that you can join, and you can go to, they throw events, networking events and things like that. So this is just something that you can do outside of work, even though it's connected to the work itself. Now, my next point is going to be when you actually do the work, right? You're working with different clients. Every project might be a different client. And also when you work on these projects or engagements, they're not just going to be one company. You're going to be working with different companies. So this exposes you to different companies that are in different industries, which is, you'll get to have a different perspective and kind of like see how things actually run. Okay. So this leads me to my next point, which is going to be exit strategy. So you always have to have an exit strategy, no matter how much you like your job or, how much you don't want to move. You always have to have an exit strategy because things can happen. If you guys have watched one of my old videos, it's not that old, but it's a video I made a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago, which was titled The Disadvantages of Working for a Small Company. And one of the biggest points in that video was that when you move from a small company or mid-sized company and you move into a firm like, one of the big four consulting firms, if you're a manager on the small company or mid-sized company, you're not going to be a manager here, right? Because they use different metrics to measure who should be promoted, things like that. But if you are moving from a big four big company and moving to a mid-sized company and you were maybe an associate here, they could probably make you manager here on the small company. It's just how it is. So this gives you exit strategies. You're going to have a lot of opportunities because by just adding one of the big four firms, consulting firms on your resume, you are going to look more attractive to people that are reading your resume, right? They are going to want to know more about you. And, it shows the work ethic because working on this project is not just like, easy work. You're actually doing the work. So you have good work ethic. And also you just have, for the lack of a better term, you have credibility. So it provides you the ability to have a lot of exit strategies. And also, like I mentioned before, you are going to be working on different projects, and these are different clients and in different industries as well. So this allows you to kind of like scope out what you like. Let's say you're working with a client that is in the oil industry or whatever. You are going to be able to see if you actually like what they do because you're actually there seeing what they do. Or maybe you worked with the financial services firm, right? You are going to see what they do. And when it's time for you to exit, you know exactly what you're looking for because, you saw it, right? Now, my next point is going to be the compensation. I think this is one of the biggest for a lot of people. And obviously, if you work for these, big companies, you are going to have slightly higher compensation than someone who works for a small company. Okay. So one of the biggest things that I enjoyed about this is you have your base salary, right? Which is based on a lot of things that include your education as well as the experience that you have in the job itself, obviously, right? So that's the base salary, and you also have what's called the performance bonus, which was the only thing that I liked about this, right? The base salary didn't really matter because that you get raises and things like that. But the biggest thing for me was the bonus, which is attached to your performance. Okay, so I'm a person that likes to work really hard. I can not go out every weekend and get some work done, but I have to be paid for it, right? Sometimes you might be working for a company that does not pay you bonuses based on your performance, so you're just doing the work for no reason, right? And you wait for 2, 3, 5% raise annually. But if you attach my hard work to a bonus, it's gonna motivate me to work harder. So this is one of the biggest things that I was looking for when it came to compensation. Do I get compensated for working harder, even though I might have a base salary? Do I also get a bonus for working harder than everyone else or something like that? Okay. Now, the next thing is going to be travel opportunities. Obviously, you are going to have opportunities to travel if you're working as a consultant, right? So for different projects, it's going to be a different client, and some clients might require you to be on site, which means you have to go to the location, and you are going to be living in a hotel. Obviously the firm pays for all of those things. And also sometimes clients do not require you to go on site. So you might be working from the office or from home, which is cool. But if you're into traveling, there's that opportunity because eventually you are going to get a client that says they need you to be on site or they need you in office for the meeting. And now you have to, that's when you get the travel opportunities. And obviously the firm pays for all of that. So it's kind of like free travel with work attached to it. My last point is going to be continuous learning and training. When it comes to learning is that you are going to be working with different clients and you have to learn about what they actually do, right? So you're not just going to go consult for a client without knowing what they do. So you do your homework before you even start the engagement or the project, right? And also when it comes to training, there are lots of training. Once you join a big four consulting firm, you're gonna know that there are a lot of courses, a lot of training material, a lot of resources for you to become a better consultant, right? And these are some of these you're kind of like forced to go through, but there are lots and lots and lots that you're not required to do. But when you do those, it makes you better. You understand more. You learn from other consultants and things like that. So that's one thing I like about this. The resources are there, but it's up to you to decide, to use those resources. So it's someone like me who is highly motivated, someone who wants to be the best at what they do. That's something that I would definitely utilize. And like I said before, there is going to be lots of training since, this consulting job is kind of like it's always different. It's never the same thing over and over, right? So training is required, right? If it's an environment that's changing rapidly. So training is required, which is a perk, right? They're not just throwing you out there like go figure it out on your own, right? So that is pretty much it. Those are some of the things that I've noticed ever since I started working in consulting. And these are things that I was actually researching, some of the things that made me transition from being a financial analyst to being a consultant. These were some of the big things that I was looking for. All right, so that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.